Hello. When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city, and then stuff happened. So what's up? Donald John Trump, who once famously bragged about sexually assaulting women, has been found liable for sexually assaulting a woman. In court, his defense was that the plaintiff was not his type, and then accidentally misidentified her as his ex-wife. He also said one of the lawyers in the trial wasn't his type. Anyway, he lost the case, and a jury of his peers found him liable for sexual battery. There's going to be a lot of breathless chuds talking about how he's not actually a sex offender, and this isn't that big of a deal because it was just a civil case, so it's not a big problem. Those dudes are weird. But if you do want to know the specifics, this was a civil case and not a criminal one, so he was found liable for the damages, not guilty of, the doing the thing. He's not guilty. He's simply the reason that it happened. So anyway, that's kind of a big deal because he apparently is an important person. But let's talk about artificial intelligence. Spotify has been dealing with a weird new problem in which AIs are both producing and consuming music on their platform. Essentially what's happening now is AIs are able to just make music on a whim. So you can just say, hey AI, make some music. Then just put that music on Spotify and have another AI just run through Spotify playlists on some kind of cadence that doesn't trip their fraud system. Who needs humans to consume media and advertisements when you can just have robots do it? Now, I want to remind you that Spotify has ridiculously meager payouts, so this was happening at scale, and this is going to continue to be a massive issue as AI advances. We are rapidly heading towards a situation in which there will be entire services that are just overrun with AIs, and there's no real place for humans on the internet anymore. I guess we'll just have to touch grass. Ayo, quick tip, if you get lost in the Australian bush, just have a bunch of wine and lollipops with you. That's a thing! A woman in Australia was exploring nature when her car got stuck in the middle of nowhere. She was stuck out there with no one else for 5 days, and she survived off of wine and lollipops. The wine she says she purchased as a gift. I do not know why she had a big stash of lollipops, but I respect her for it. And so this is a casual reminder to always have your emergency wine and lollipops prepared in your trunk, just in case, you're exploring the Australian wilds and get lost. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Well, let's talk about the worst of us, because Tucker Carlson is rebooting his show on Twitter. You heard me right. He didn't just announce that he's rebooting his show on Twitter. He's rebooting his show on Twitter. Elon Musk has been wanting people to do new content creation on Twitter, and Tucker Carlson says that Twitter is the only platform left that allows free speech. And kind of out of nowhere, he was like, hey y'all, we're gonna start a new show on Twitter. This is an extremely high-profile person. This is probably not a random whim, and almost definitely coordinating with people in charge of Twitter, who happens to be Elon Musk, who claims to be a free thinker, which really just means a right-wing jabroni with tepid takes. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Tucker Carlson isn't a big get for the platform. He has a huge viewer base. It just happens to be that his huge viewer base is a bunch of bigoted morons. Now, notably, Fox is probably not going to be happy about this because they specifically have, legal stuff in place to make sure that he doesn't do that. Or at least he's not allowed to go to another media outlet, but it remains to be seen if Twitter qualifies. I am sure the lawyers are going to have a field day. Lightning round. A hotel manager has been arrested for waking up one of their guests by sucking their toes while they were asleep. The United States of America is on pace for 60 mass killings this year. That's different from mass shootings. This is mass killing. Gotta make that distinction. Mark Zuckerberg was in a jiu-jitsu tournament and apparently did pretty okay. Dianne Feinstein is returning to the Senate instead of doing literally anything but that. Speaking of the Senate, the US Senate is apparently mulling over the idea of allowing weed businesses to use banks finally. Apparent Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a bill that puts a bunch of random restrictions on Chinese citizens from buying land in Florida because we've learned nothing from history. US oversight boards are not too happy with Tesla's practices of arbitration for both employees and customers and are like, hey, you're covering up hundreds of complaints a day. Representative George Santos has apparently been indicted. I truly don't care about this man. He's just a piece of shit and I never want to talk about him. Fun fact, I literally have his name filtered from my news sources. I don't care about reading it. I know that, there are people who he is, the representative of, and it probably really sucks for them, but I cannot deal with his headlines. Here's the weather. The last thing I have for you today is that the US is finally going to investigate the effectiveness of safe injection sites to help prevent overdoses. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. It helps a ton. My name is Endeavorance. I'll be back on Friday. Take care and be well.